Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Money Hungry Mama podcast. I am so excited because I have Stephanie here today. Stephanie, take it away.
Hi, everyone. My name is Stephanie Clark, and I am the owner and I should say creator of Born to Rum Mobile Bar Co.
Oh my gosh. So, for everybody here that is not from New Jersey, born to rum, where'd you get it?
I'm very Jersey, born and raised. I think like most women you speak with, you talk a lot about how you come up, like what's the first thing you do? And branding for us was the first thing. But it's like I had the concept, but it didn't feel real, and I didn't know where to start until it's like, what is it called, and what's the vibe, what's the culture, what's the service, right? Um, we were no shade to any of our competitors. We're really proud of what they do. But I noticed, take inventory, audit, research. It was a lot of like bubbly this, spritzy this, boozy
Mhm.
this. And like, we don't want to like fan alcoholism. I was like, I want a vibe of like great service, quality craft cocktails, but local ingredients, good time. Like, what does it entail? And I was like, we have to have our geography and our Jersey in the brand. And I'm a big fan of puns. You want something that people remember and it's cute. And like most good ideas, I think with most women, especially moms, I finally had like alone time in the car or if it's the shower where
Yeah.
you can hear your own thoughts. And I was like, what if it's, and it literally just came to me because, you start like Notes app is on fire. Like when I have
Mhm.
ideas or like, names for things. But this, I was
100%.
alone in the car and it just kind of came to me because he was on the radio. I think you know what I'm talking about. And I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh my God, what if we do this? This could work. Pitched it to my husband and my friends, and I got a little hesitation or, oh, that's cute. And I'm like, I think this is it. You have to trust me. And I was like, it'll work.
Mhm.
And now I get like such a dopamine hit when we're at an event for the first time. We're interacting with clients and guests who have never met us before, and they see it on our shirts. They see the easel. They see how it's written, and they're like, what? And it almost like catches them for a second. And when they verbally say, oh my God, I love that. I was like, I knew it. I knew that was a good idea. And I like just give a side eye to like people working who have been with us since the beginning. They're like, okay, you're right. It's great.
That's not from Jersey, right?
But what I'll say is for anyone not from New Jersey, it is, let me give you some education. I'm going to school you, okay? The
Love it.
boss, when it's not me, it's him, all right? One of our favorite songs, Born to Run. So we did a play on that. It's Born to Rum. And we just wanted to, it just felt like the brand that we were trying to build. We want to have a good time, but also a tag on local. Our colors are very nautical. We do a lot of business down the shore. So it's like we put in that level of detail and people dig it. They feel very attached to it. And also just a nuance of, I want to make sure the brand was also gender neutral. A lot of the spritzy bubbly, you see they do great business with like bridal showers, girls' nights, but we wanted something that appealed to literally almost any member of our community up and down the parkway. So that's how we, yeah.
100%. And, I think it's just like, I love that it's like, I'm going to school you because I don't think that people realize out in different states, like how much Bruce Springsteen means to New Jersey. Like, I just don't think they know that. And I feel like it's just something we've all listened to our whole entire lives because our parents just always had him on blast. And like, every bar in New Jersey will always do like a random Bruce Springsteen night just because he's from here. So everybody's just like repping him all the time. So I think Born to Rum. I remember seeing that immediately being like, "This is it. I love her.
Yeah.
I love this. I love her." I think it was so smart, and I love that it's gender neutral because I do think, I have seen so many mobile bars, and you're right, a lot of them are pretty, which is amazing, and, I'm always drawn to them because I think that they're pretty, but are opening yourself to a wider audience, especially down the Jersey Shore, so you can do different fun events. That's awesome. So, when did you realize that this wasn't a hobby anymore and it was something bigger?
Yes. So that led from two things. I girl bossed too close to the sun. It was intended to be a creative. I'm a creative. I wanted something aside from working. I mean, it's a joke to say 9 to 5. We're like 7 to 10, but always wanted something on the side. It was intended to be a side hustle to be fulfilled. It was less actually about passive income and just wanting to have a place where you can interact with people, be creative,
Mhm,
you know,
mhm.
being able to make money at the same time is always a plus. So it was meant truly to be a side hustle. I have always had one, probably since high school. I suffer from like can't being able to sit still for too long, and I don't apologize about that anymore. So to answer your question, when I realized I was like, oh damn, like this is taken off. I we were very fortunate to do one event for a New Jersey based I'll say influencer, and truly that just blew us up. And we're very grateful for like sometimes the universe just hands you this like golden
Mhm.
opportunity. We had months in market, kind of honed our approach and pricing and style. But once we got that job and it trickled, like somewhat went viral on our renovation TikTok and our reel, grabbed that job and it like the inquiries were flooding. It is the most amazing problem to have when you
Mhm.
just don't see it coming. So that's why I made the joke of, no, I girl boss too close to the sun. I thought it'd be this cute thing I'll do on the side. I was having a great time. I
Mhm.
love working with people, but once we got that job, it was like a click light switch that we were totally working on a different level. And I hope that happens for almost any woman that starts their own thing because
Yeah.
hopefully that does happen. But here's the thing, when that does happen, and it will, you kind of have to recalibrate of how do you keep up? How do you keep this sustainable? People kind of in the beginning were like, that's cute. You guys just like you're bartending on the side, which is like, come on, like who wants like a 30-something-year-old bartender mom? But I was just like, listen, there's a business here. And when it takes off, how do you manage the time, the
Mhm.
resources, staff? So I'm sure we can talk about that during our time. But once it took off and I was like, oh shit, I think this is going to be something.
Yeah.
I needed to bring in resources, staff, and find a way that we can run this more automated? How do we make this more professional, streamlined, whether that's from how you receive your contract to how we show up on site the day of your event to really unpack. And one of my philosophies is, we are in home. It's a mobile business, which we can cover. We always leave our space better than how we found it. So it's all the nuances from when we're online working with the business end, contracts, picking your menu, all that stuff to physically on site. We might need to realize how we're going to keep up with this volume because it's a lot.
Yeah. And oh my gosh, I'm already loving this conversation because this is already turning the conversation. So I love the fact that, and you guys heard her, it was a coincidence, right? Like it wasn't something that she had planned to go so big. And I also love that you brought up like sometimes it just is sent to you. And that's just like how you know that what you're doing is great. So now I do want to talk about that because we haven't talked about that yet. So I do want to talk about the fact of all of a sudden you are inundated, you are getting all of these things. How did you like walk us through that mindset to try to help that next mom before she gets hit big? How did you be like, okay, this is the new plan?
Sure. So since it blew up, you mean?
Yeah.
It's having honest talks with yourself and your staff, and if you have a partner like I do, that helps you run your business. So once I realized the inquiries were trickling in, the Instagram followers were bumping, people were asking questions, I had to take a step back and think about where are the pain points where we can operate more smoothly, that our process on the back end, that all the unsexy stuff that the clients don't see can run a little smoother, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to be very transparent. Listen, this started as like, I'm going to have a bar and it'll be a pop up and your contract will be a Google Doc. And there's nothing wrong with that. And it's like paying cash. And then we elevated of, okay, we need a system here to keep up. My biggest fear was if the inquiries kept coming at a high volume, I never want to have one fall. I didn't want to miss replying to someone. And not just because it's opportunity and potential income, but that's not the service I wanted to give. So I
Yeah.
would say like our switching gears of how we had to reapproach the business was based on volume and wanting to make
Mhm.
sure I didn't become too overwhelmed and let anything slip through the cracks. I wanted it to be perfect. I wanted the experience of anyone at any time who had reached out to us about questions or a date received the equal amount of response time, quality and
Mhm.
response, and like felt confident in our menu options and how everything worked. So I'll plug some services we use if it's helpful for anyone. But honestly, the first thing we did that was a game changer is we decided to use actual software to automate and help us track. I never wanted to lose sight of, like I had just mentioned, inquiries coming
Mhm.
in.
Mhm.
And also, everyone in New Jersey has very similar names. God forbid you like you like the email the and me included email the wrong Italian last name. Like I don't want anyone to get messy here. But so that was a game changer and has helped so much both with the mental load of making sure things are going well and
Mhm.
general tasks. Like I do work full
Yeah.
time in addition to this. So there's a bunch of different ones. Us personally, we use HoneyBook and it allows us to, free plug, but it allows us to really track like exactly like it's Brittany, it's this date, it's her kid's first birthday, and this is the menu option. Like it allows me to keep everything super organized. I don't miss a follow up. And through that, I'm able to do a more professional looking invoice. And it allows you to pay via credit card. So I'm tracking things to make sure everything is done as professionally as possible. So to go back to your question, like just asking for help and finding the ways that you can
Mhm.
you don't have to do it on your own if it's a person or if it's a tool, if it's a platform. You have to find what's going to make things more seamless. And this is the world of like AI and
Yeah.
digital assistants and all that stuff. Like you can figure it out on that end. But ironically, I'm an in-person mobile business. Can't really outsource that other than expanding staff. So where is there room to find ways to help yourself? Eliminate the time that's spent.
Mhm.
Efficiency is everything.
Oh, and I think I love this conversation because, we talk about being on here and, most moms are starting out or this business is only a couple years. And that's why I love this so much because you guys are in the thick of it. And it's like everybody is learning and growing at the same time. And the fact that you just blew up over an influencer, like you don't know where it's going to come from. And
You
now
don't.
it's like systems and it's amazing.
Yeah, it was kind of the we had posted something where be careful what you wish for in the best way, and it's not regretful, but if you just told me then like the structure, you really don't know what could happen. And
Mhm.
it's all about just starting. But if you look at the timeline, like, we had purchased one of our flagship bars that you can rent through us, and as part of our excuse me execution is we have a vintage horse trailer, and that's how it all started. So the vintage horse trailer we bought, gutted it ourselves, transformed it into our first like flagship mobile bar, and then we had other options to pop up. And the reason why I bring that up is that was kind of what made it real because this thing was sitting in my driveway. And I was like, I bought it, it's here, we're doing it. And we weren't in a rush too. Like, that's also something that a lot of mompreneurs like suffer from of like, I just am so anxious, I want to get going, take the time, think it out both in process and what you did. And I knew that renovating this thing was going to take time. So we weren't in a rush. But why I bring that up is from the time that it was delivered in the driveway to the time that we finished renovating it and got that one inquiry was like a 6 to 7 month span. So when
Wow.
I had like posted something not too long ago where I was like, if you told me this time last year, like my Pinterest streams like escalated within like a 6 month period from like thinking it was this thing that I just came up with like in my brain and now it's like a literal working business. It can go quickly and I do hope that happens for any mom, any woman that wants to do something. You just have to just do it. Just see what
Yeah.
happens.
No, 100%. And I love that you said to take your time. For everybody listening, we know I've tried like 30 side hustles and some of them I just jumped full feet in, paid for all the things and they didn't work out, right? This podcast was the first time in my life I went super super slow and it is taking off way more than any of those side hustles. And I think there is something in the taking it slow and not, stand still, like do something every single day, but don't put every resource that you have without
Mhm.
really thinking it out first. And I think that's something that comes with doing business.
Yeah, and that's not meant to, by the way, the other side is not meant to say delay and
Yeah.
overthink because girl, I'll do that. But it's more of there is no rush when it is your time and it's full. It doesn't have to be fully baked because any industry or any side hustle or concept you have, you will always learn by doing. You get better the more you do it. But just to build on your point, what I mean is take your time, the industry, the field, the niche that you're going into, your place is there. And better to always be prepared and show up where you try to think of everything you possibly could to make sure it goes smoothly, it's exactly what you want, than to I'm a little shy about like rebranding and recalibrating in public, meaning like you didn't have it fully thought through and now they kind of see it evolve in front of their eyes. And again, there's nothing wrong with changing and evolving and being transparent of like, yeah, I learned the first way we did it in year one isn't really going to work and now we're doing this. But if you were to take your time prior to launch to really think out process, because we're a service business, that's where I operated a lot in terms of, okay, put myself in the shoes of the client and thought through start to finish the process and all of those, like I said, the unsexy things. Oh, I always want to spend the time on like the branding and what's the bar going to look like and how am I going to decorate and what's the cocktail menu and, what can we make it cute in terms of like staff branding and our merch and all that stuff. But yeah, that's all good. And that's the fun stuff.
Yeah.
But I had to put myself in the shoes of the client of like how it's dumb and it sounds very elementary, but from the get go of how are they reaching out to us to inquire? Where are they going to see us? When they get back to us, how are we responding? Do I need to create an email? Do I need a system? How do I break down how our approach is? And that's where you start getting creative, like what is simple, what is clean, what is easy to understand. So for instance, in like responding, I'll admit it, in my early days, I was like sending fresh like emails that are initial and original to every single inquiry and I was getting multiple a day and explaining how we were. this sounds very silly. Like, how did you not think of this sooner? But I was like, I need in graphic design to lean in and have a PDF that explains process,
Yeah.
tiers of menu, pricing. And that way, yes, I still, by the way, don't not send personal inquiry like replies, but now it's so simple because I send my personal note, but it is short and is what we like to call smart brevity. You don't need to, I talk a lot, obviously. That's why this conversation is going so well. But I was like, I need to keep this brief. And as a client that's probably planning a party and emailing a million vendors, how can I make this as simple as possible? And we would attach a PDF that like gave all of that stuff that I used to manually type out. So simple.
Love it.
But just thinking start to finish, it's like, okay, and then when I get there, how do I explain the questions? There is a lot of FAQ around how a mobile bar works. Do I
Mhm.
need a liquor license? How is the cleanup? How do you ensure safety? So I also had to do a lot of work and research around that piece as well.
Yeah, and it's just like, even though you keep calling it the unsexy part, it is so sexy because those emails and that PDF and all those things, look good to the client. And it's like, okay, like this business is running extremely smooth because of you getting in that initial seat of the client. Like, okay, what are they going to see from here to here, right? Like, you want to make it as smooth and as seamless as possible. And even having, which I'm sure you do know, like the fact sheet that's attached to the thing with all those generalized questions, like, all of those things make it easier for them to be like, okay, they know what they're doing. Like,
I
everything
hope
is laid
so.
out for me, start to finish. It's going to work. My gosh. Okay. So, what kind of connection have you built with your audience? Like, what do you think keeps them coming back?
Well, first of all, anyone coming back, that's the number one win and best part of the job. When you get repeat clients, I'd say a close second is on-site feedback. When you like make a drink for someone, hand it over, and they make that, that's good. That's good. But that's the second best part because you're like, oh, I nailed it. But the having repeat clients in general is usually the goal, but it's the blessing when you're like, oh, I must have done such a good job. But it's because you built a rapport. Myself and my staff are very personal. We like working with people, but we become like part of the party. Like we end up like talking the whole time. I mean, like, I don't know if people want that from bartenders, but I think what we've built has been and the impression we leave is and this is what I hope, but thankfully got reassurance from a lot of clients. Having them made this party not only more fun, but took that stress away. It was one less thing I had to do. And it also made me feel like my event was more elevated at a something that at a level that I could afford. And this whole concept was born out of the pandemic. That's almost why I think it's even more special that we're in person business, that we're seeing people just being together again, and we get to play a role in that. That's kind of the impression I think we've been leaving with our audience lately, or over the span of our existence, I should say. I don't know if that helps add some color. This is what I feel it's been like.
Yeah, and honestly, like, isn't it like the joke, like bartenders are therapists? So obviously, I think everybody loves to talk to a bartender and be like, "My day," So I think who doesn't want a lively, interactive bartender? Because you've been to weddings where you have both, and it's like, not saying that you do weddings. I'm just saying in general, like those are like the most bartenders I see now. So it's like, they just hand your drink and you walk away, and then there's some that like ask about your day, and and I'm like, okay, like those are the ones that I personally am like, okay, I want to give you all my money. I want to just tip you.
Well, we hope that's how they feel, right? But I'll just say, like, it's service industry, it's a particular personality, but I always think bartending in general or being a server, it's a crash course in sociology. If I feel like I'm really on a roll and I'm having a great day or a great event, I'll be like, I can tell what someone's going to order just by looking at them.
That is
I feel like I
cool.
feel like I can tell this guy's going to want this. Like, let's just see. I may start like making jokes behind the bar. I'm like, just watch. Start taking that we just really end up falling in love with a lot of our clients. Like they always are just so personable, like they become
Mhm.
friends at the end of the event. Um, and just that's where like the dopamine hit comes for me. It's just that I think I made this party better, but the person seemed to have a good time. It was one more thing they didn't have to worry about.
Mhm.
And then they asked me, can't we, this is an annual thing. If it's a block party or like, oh, my other kid's turning, the birthday is next summer. Like this was perfect. We'll have you back. That is the goal. I mean, it feels great.
And now, as far as the drinks, because this just kind of popped into my head, I know you're a mobile bar, but like for that day, is there only a certain amount of drinks on the menu?
Sometimes. So the way that we operate without giving too much away is we tailor every bar package and the menu for that event is tailored for that client and that event. So we work one-on-one with you to design it. We have three different tiers that you select from. But when it comes to drinks, which translates to cocktails, not beer, wine, champagne and all that kind of stuff. We have set packages of how many cocktails we can select, which
Gotcha.
equates to the number of staff and the amount you want to pay. And then we have seasonal menus, very inspired by local Jersey ingredients. So based on
Oh.
your booking, if you're fall, you're going to get our awesome fall menu, and fall inspired drinks, and you would pick X amount from that custom cocktail menu. And that's how we kind of work one on one to make it as special as possible.
Now, how did you become this cocktail connoisseur? Like, did you go to different bars and like check different things out? Or is it like, did you go to class? Like, how did you become this? I'm going to mix this, this, and this, and it's going to be good.
Sure. So I have a history in hospitality. My husband does as well. Our staff does as well. We're Hoboken alum, so working in bars on Washington Street, like, and being a bartender in
Gotcha.
college. So it was always kind of in there. But it's a match of services. So I had, like I said, I'd always kind of had a side hustle. Like, I don't
Hmm.
know how to not do two jobs or less.
Yeah.
So I actually had moonlit in event planning for a very long time with my best friend in our 20s. Always wanted to do something creative. And like I said, like working with people, and it was full scale event planning in terms of
Hmm.
design. Fast forward, I'm like, things changed. I'm older. I was becoming a mom. Like, that's exhausting doing weddings and big parties. Like, you're there when the venue opens, you're leaving when the cake is cut. It's a long day. Kind of, I hate to make this reference, but kind of like The Godfather. I tried to get out and they pulled me right back in. So I would take on like word of mouth, like, friend of a friend, like, I know you're not really doing this anymore, but my cousin, my girlfriend, my sister's getting married, like, you guys crushed it when it was our turn. Like, she would love the help, and we would do stuff like that. And like I had mentioned, this was born out of the pandemic, so I wasn't really doing event planning with my best friend like full time.
Mhm.
But like most people that we know, I think everyone has a friend, a sister, or whoever who unfortunately was a COVID bride, and my other best friend was. And I just saw like these crushed dreams of like plans,
Yeah.
venue. And so fast forward, a lot of herself and others included were like, listen, friends of friends were saying, my girlfriend's venue, God knows when they're going to open. They want to honor the original date. Everyone's just canceling everything. Can we stand up a wedding in, the parents' backyard where we bring in everything? They're very flexible. Like, how do I do this? So I came out of retirement and planned like three COVID weddings. And as part of that, it was at home. If
Hmm.
everyone is comfortable going back to what the times were like without having too much PTSD. But it's like things were a little more flexible. People were very open minded of untraditional wedding approaches. So we were standing at weddings in parents' backyards, which was like given father the bride vibes. Like, I was all about it. Like, I loved everything about it, but a lot of work. Like, we're bringing in
Yeah.
everything because it's not a venue, right? So we were bringing in rentals, and not just your vendors like a DJ, but like dance floor, table, silverware. And part of that was I have to have a bar. It's a wedding. Like, what are we doing
Hmm.
here? So I was hiring similar to me, either servers through the caterers that were bartenders, or a mobile bar service like how I operate today. And it is one of those things where when I saw that, a light bulb kind of went off of like,
Yeah.
no, I don't want to. This is how people pivot or evolve. Of, I didn't leave the event industry, didn't leave the creative service, but it did switch a little bit where I was hiring mobile bars to do these events, and they did an amazing job. But there's something that the light bulb went off of. I could do this, but better. Or I could do
Yeah.
this, but different. And having experience in being in hospitality, and I had
Mhm.
this network of event planning for over a decade, and figuring out how to do it, it just kind of like I went home after one of the weddings I did, and like immediately went on the internet and like went down a Pinterest rabbit hole, and I was like, how does this work? Found that there was a kind of an empty niche in northern New Jersey. There might have been mobile bars, but not what I had in mind. And I knew I could do it. I knew how to specifically bartend, but I also have family that worked in food service in terms of like working for celebrity chefs, and had taught me how to do craft cocktails. And we like personally as a hobby, like trying new things. It was like a marriage of all the interests together, right?
Awesome.
So that's how that idea was born of like, I could do this, and it allows the flexibility. And I say this like the focus of your podcast in terms of not just women, but moms specifically. I love working in events, but any woman knows, when do those take place? It is nights, it is weekends, it is holidays, it is hard. So and I don't have the body I used to have of like restaurant legs where I'm like standing, working events, like pulling up weddings from like sun up to sundown. But I was like, wait a minute, you start to find the solutions of like, you don't always have to abandon the things you love and that you want to spend your time on. You just have to reinvent what they look like and what the execution is. So when I thought I never want to leave events, I love working with people and knowing that I made that day better or I made it easier. And I said, if I do mobile bar, it's a creative service, right? So now
Mhm.
I'm not there when the venue opens and leaving when like everything's being packed up. I'm coming early to set up. I'm doing the thing. I'm packing up and I'm leaving. I'm just like a photographer. I go, that's what we want to do because
Yeah.
I'm almost cheating the system in terms of myself because I was like, oh, I was working so hard. I'm like, was I ever really charging enough? Because now I'm working in theory a little less day of and making the same. But the work comes from, me being corporate 9 to 5 during the week. It's like there's a lot of work on the back end,
Mhm.
replying, shopping for ingredients, contracts, packing the car, like all that stuff, sure. But day of, it's manageable because if you're going to be a mom in general, I'm a mother of I still consider him a young child because he's 5. That's different than having a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
So like so I said, I can do this. Yes, it is still nights sometimes. And yes, it's mostly weekends, but it's not all the time because I'm not gone from like 8 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock
Mhm.
at night. It's more manageable. So it became a way where I could still do this without giving up. And to your point of your question earlier, like what happens when you blow up and you start escalating, you do have to take a step back of because I'm trying to manage. It is usually me. I am the owner. You're the one that if you get
Mhm.
an email, it is me. If you have a question, it is me. And we were very fortunate enough to now expand. I have staff, and that's how it becomes possible. It starts running like a well-oiled machine of I still go to most of our events, but I know I can have staff that I trust that execute to the same service and have the same, to your question, passion and training and interesting
Yeah.
cocktails that we do, and that I can trust them to run the event on our retainer.
My gosh. And I love hearing staff. And it's just, I hope in my heart of hearts that all of us get staff. Like everybody listening that is doing, especially in service and doing those things, that you guys get a staff of just being able to hire out to help you. And I love that you're at that point because I think you came in with such an entrepreneur mind that you knew exactly what you wanted to do. You knew that you liked events. You knew, and I just hearing your story, the way it kind of trickled into what you did, it was just brilliant. Like you literally listened to not just your heart, but every single event that you did kind of molded exactly your execution of your well-oiled machine now. And I think that that is just something that needs to be noted because that is really cool to hear your story.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, it's you innovate like I said, you get better and
Mhm.
sharper the more you do it. Lucky enough to do this for a few years now, which is crazy. And staff is about, by the way, like I think it's very hard for any woman to be like, it's not asking for help, but letting go. And you're not
Mhm.
letting go, you're opening up because it's like, it's better if I just do it. And I also suffer from elder daughter syndrome. So it's like, I'll
Yep,
just do
same.
it. And, but the true success of someone that owns any business, and I will use a case study, shout out to O'Neill's in Hoboken. So that's owned by Chris O'Neill. And my husband and I worked there for years. And he, as an owner, was not only like super nice guy, but these bars ran well because he treated his staff well, but he trusted them. An owner, you always hear those stories of like a restaurant bar owner. It's like, you have no life if you own a bar. You have to live there because there's a lot of both financial and emotional investment in that establishment and they don't leave. That's true. But a person that hires people and trains people and trusts them does not need to sleep at the restaurant.
Yep.
You have to build an extension of yourself, and then that's
Mhm.
all about building a team. So I shouldn't really use the word staff as much as I should be using the word team. I have full confidence in any of our staff members that are trained by us, understand the vibe and the level of service that we're trying to deliver to any of our clients, that it is just like if I were there in person, period.
Yeah.
One thing I did want to share with you for sure, especially to listeners, is that it's not just our team that we've built that has allowed us to operate this far and also give me that flexibility where I can say no to maybe a Saturday night event and because I have plans with my son, because I trust my staff. But collaboration has been everything. I have no time and no interest in competitiveness when it comes to other women doing what I'm doing.
Mhm.
So I kind of subscribe to competition happens at the bottom, but collaboration happens at the top.
Love
And
it.
I saw early on, like, where are my jobs going? Or like, who's in the market? And like, you know, how are people who do what I do, what does that look like? And I'll just give a shout out to there are 3 women that I on purpose and intentionally reached out to, and I was like, "Love what you're doing. Would love to grab a coffee," or ironically, "Would love to grab a drink." And
Love it.
befriended. I'd be like, "Listen, I can't be everywhere at once. I love what you're doing. I'm not trying to take business. I really wanted to reach out and not just be internet friends. Like, and these 3 women have been amazing. And we have made like a pact in terms of let's support one another. We all can't be everywhere at once. So New Jersey is small, but it's spread out, right? If I get an inquiry that I know is closer to where my partner's collaborator lives, like more down the shore, and that take it. Take it. I'm good. I know it will pay forward. So the 4 of us, sorry, all chat regularly, support one another, especially not just, there's value in likes and shares, but, we try and get together and talk a lot and we co-refer. And once you build your own network and start supporting one another, you will go farther.
For
And
sure.
I had to mention that because honestly, without them and like also building relationships with other female influencers who have done us a solid of like referring us or like reposting photos from an event, it goes, that is actually what probably you talked about and asked me how we blew up. But I'll tell you, that's how we continued momentum and that's how we
Mhm.
grew was from support from other people.
Oh my gosh, I have actual chills because I think that is something that, hearing all of your stories and listening to all these businesses, just that message right there, the collaboration over competition, that competition is at the bottom. I just want to scream it into this microphone so you guys really understand what she just said. Like, she teamed up with 3 of the same exact business
And they're
strategically
great.
in different parts of New Jersey so that they could help each other. And I just am like, beautiful, beautiful.
And we're in within the same niche, but we're 4 completely different executions,
Exactly.
and I think we bring something else, and they're lovely. So, I can't wait to tag them when we post this. Like, they're great.
I
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. My heart is so happy. I love that so much. And I just think everybody listening, like, we talk about networking and we talk about, you know, really getting yourself out there, but it really honestly is these collaborations and meeting other like minded women that are doing the same thing. Oh
And
my
that's
gosh.
that's also where it came in helpful, not just for co-referral and, like,
Mhm.
taking the walls down and being able to collab, but we've been free school. Like, if you had a question, they're like, "Hey, like, how are your contracts working?" Or, like, "This weird thing happened with a client, had a question, I wasn't sure how to handle it. Have you ever gotten this question?" Like, so we also became, like, our own board of directors, like, to help one another, which is really helpful.
Love it.
But what I'll say is, like, it might seem strange, I liked how you had phrased it, like, yeah, I reached out and their same field competitors
Hmm.
is what someone else probably viewed them as. And I think in most cases, when women are thinking of doing a side hustle or a concept, they might get discouraged. Someone is already doing that. So
100%.
maybe I need to think of something else. In business school, there's still, I mean, it's a great new example because usually they always spend like time on old examples. They like to reference Rihanna all the time, and it's like my favorite story because there's billion with a B, okay? $1 billion makeup brands. And she was told, maybe this isn't the place for you. Stick to being an artist, do your thing. And she's like, nah, I have an idea. Here's the thing. I'm a little different. I know that there's always there's people who are already doing, yes, that industry, my execution, but I will be different. It is not a reason for me not to do it. I just have to carve out a place for myself.
Hmm.
Long story short, her success among many, many things was her when she had launched Fenty makeup, it was, but I feel there aren't enough color matches for women of color and that there's not enough options. I know that that's a need and I will fulfill that. It doesn't matter that there's other celebrity driven funded makeup brands. I can do it. And now she's billion with a B. If she had said, you're right, I'm not going to do that because Kylie's got something, everybody's got something, you're right, I'll go find something else. And I know that that could be transferable to a lot of moms that are sitting in the pickup line or packing their kids' lunch, like, I had this creative idea, or I'm not sure how to do it. Oh, you know what? The girl down the street is doing it, or my friend's sister does something like that. Maybe don't harp on the originality. I have to have something that's never been done before. You can do something that exists, but make it your own. There's always a way
Hmm.
to execute to make it your own. And I had given an interview early in our years where and I still believe it, so that's why I'm repeating it. Someone is already doing something that you want to do and not the way you would do it and probably not as
Hmm.
well. It's not a reason not to do the thing you want to do.
You just keep speaking and just like these chills just keep coming
Like,
on.
don't worry about them. Like, they're doing great.
Yeah.
Cheer them on, but do your own thing and nothing. That's why it goes back to the views that I have on competition. I hope they crush it. I hope they do great, but it doesn't mean whatever you're going to do, if it's a similar field or an exact service, is going to be identical. You have to kind of create your own lane.
No, 100%. And, we say all the time, like, gone are the days of not being a face of a brand, right? Like, you have to put your face to your brand.
Yeah.
And
I struggle with
even
that.
though,
I like to show clients and drinks, like, I don't want to show my face, but okay.
yeah, no, no, but like, you kind of have to, right? Because even if, the neighbor's doing it up the street, you two have two different personalities and two different ideas and two different creative ways of doing something. Like, if you're both doing stitching, one could be making dresses, one could be making doll dresses. They're two completely different things. And now you have a collaboration of, hey, we should make the same exact design and sell them together as a package. Like, there's just so much in this world that I really truly believe in my heart everybody could make it if they tried, right? Like, everybody could make it if they tried.
And just do it.
Now,
Just do it. You'll learn as you go.
100.
Still leaning on the fact of what you and I had covered. Think it through and do the work, but just do it. People like get held up. I'm like, oh, it's cringe. I don't want to post that. Or I'm afraid of launching this business because my mom's going to see it and she's going to ask me 5 questions. Like they just get in their own head about stalling. Don't.
No. Mm-mm. Just go for it. You got one life here.
Hmm.
Live it. Do it, doing what you want. 100%. What does being a money hungry mama mean to you?
That's a great question. I will start by saying I already said I told you I suffer from elder daughter syndrome. I also suffer from how hard could it be syndrome,
Yeah.
where I have this idea and it probably is too large to take on, uh, but it all works out. So to rephrase, I think being money hungry mama means being able to have something that's for yourself. I wanted to be a good example. Like I said, I do have a son. I work full time, but showing that if you have an idea, you put in the time, you're confident that'll work, and equally as confident if it doesn't work to keep going is kind of my definition of what that would mean. I have always wanted something for myself, and that right now is this version of running Born to Rum. And I think being money hungry is more of a I like to fuel this in a way where it's self-fulfilling. It's a great passive income. I'm very transparent of like in its first year, it was worth it. It helped pay for pre-K. And that's like, it helped a lot. I mean, it's tough out there.
It is.
And I think that's also what helped it going in terms of it became less about or equally about me having something for myself, something that I thought was creative fulfilling. But to have a second stream of income where I felt like I can give my son more, I was making more comfortable decisions in terms of like planning a family vacation and signing him up for soccer. I think when you find the marriage of it's watering your plant while fulfilling other things is
Mhm.
what I think all of us are kind of looking for when you want to stand something up from scratch.
100%. 100%. Because you're right. It's tough out there. It is so tough out there. Daycares, I just don't, makes me want to throw up.
I mean, that's why most, if you come from a two-parent household, have that very candid and real conversation of sometimes one parent stays home because it just makes more sense. So, while I'm working hard in terms of being corporate data Monday to Friday, just having this extra outlet, it could be anything. And like, I grew up in the days of Etsy shops and pop-up
Mhm.
things, farmers market, you can always do something. So this just is my version of that. I think we've seen there are more opportunities now for women to stand something up from a creative service or a merch standpoint than there has ever been before. So if you had ever had a thought of doing something, this is the easiest it's ever going to be. And we didn't cover this, but for my overhead, I almost spend zero on traditional like advertising because social is such a innovative engagement platform where I'm able
Mhm.
to showcase what we do. To your point, they're able to see and meet me and get our vibes of what service is like and what the quality of the product is like, that the cost of entry has never been lower. That,
Mhm.
I don't know what your concept is and what, inventory or like for our case, I bought a freaking horse trailer, but like for our first bar, but I figured it out, but I meant like in terms of standing it up, like the days of Squarespace and LLCs and, creating free PR via free Instagram, like these things for entry are accessible. And just wanted to highlight that because where women get held up of in their head, if it's not about someone else is already doing that, I'm not sure, or they operate in the lane of, oh, it's cringe, I'm afraid of putting myself out there. And the third
Mhm.
barrier I will say is sometimes like, what's it going to cost to get up and running
Yep.
or to get started? Depending on how you approach it and what it is, I honestly do feel it has never been easier between free digital tools like I had referenced, but also like your own network of other women lifting you up and giving you suggestions and feedback. Like it really is possible. You just have to do the work and put in the time.
100%. And guys, Stephanie and I are going to be talking about this episode in the free Money Hungry Mama Facebook group. And that is a space, especially for anybody that's starting out that doesn't really want to reach out to people locally. Come and talk in that group and ask questions. There's so many like minded women in that free Facebook group. And definitely come and chat with us about this episode today. Stephanie, where can our listeners support you?
Thank you for asking. Number one, first and foremost, our largest platform is Instagram. Please follow us, see what we're about, see our drinks, learn about our packages and our bar rentals. And that can be found at Born to Rum Bar. So that's our handle. So please follow us. And we're also at borntorumbar.com where you can see more pictures, FAQ, how we work, all the things.
Love. Stephanie, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you on.
No, I really appreciate the time, and this was great. And I do hope when your listeners tune in, it inspires another woman to do something. I really believe that.
Chills this whole entire episode. There's no way it's not going to. You inspired me, and I am thrilled to be able to post this. Thank you so much.
No, thank you, Brittany.